you know you've got a problem when the worst thing you can do, the most dangerous thing you can do, is also one of the cheapest and easiest things to do. And that's the situation today for drug users, even those who just think they're messing around. That's where we are today with heroin. And by we, I mean the entire St. Louis area, both sides of the river. Like it or not, this is a hotbed in this new era of heroin use. It's in the city, it's in the towns, and it's in the suburbs. Now, this may not be news to you, and that's good, because St. Louis has stepped up to deal with this issue openly and aggressively, and we continue that work tonight. Please join us.
Him and his friends was doing it. So I asked him for some one day, and he gave it to me.
Most of it is, it's an off-white powder, granular, almost had a brown tinge to it.
The heroin epidemic's getting outrageous. Seems to be the drug of choice right now.
They get on it, and they're stealing from their parents, they're robbing their neighbors, whatever they have to do to get that money, to get that fix.
This drug doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are, where you came from. It has one goal in mind, that's to kill you.
Nobody wants to be a heroin addict. This is really about addiction. Let's face it, that's what the issue is.
A few years ago, you wouldn't have seen anything like this. Not a rally about this issue. Not here. But heroin has come to Wentzville.
There was another heroin overdose on October 17th. I just had two in Flint Hill last evening. So it's out there, and I'm trying to just bring awareness to it and get it out of my city.
Tim Ramshaw and his family never thought they'd be standing on a street corner to raise awareness about heroin use. They certainly never thought they'd be affected by it either.
We're not sure how it started. I think she just got caught up in the wrong crowd. And it was new to us. I mean, we didn't know until they knocked on our door and let us know she was gone.
Ramshaw's 18-year-old daughter Megan overdosed on heroin just 6 months ago. A beautiful young woman who didn't fit the mold of a heroin user.
Which would you rather be, a lawyer or a dope man?
There was a time when this was the image of a heroin addict. It's from a 1966 KMOX TV documentary called The Corner.
Before you use H, you've got to cook it.
Heroin was primarily an inner city problem, but even then it was on the fringe, even among illegal drug users. There was a stigma and a needle. Today, that's not how you start heroin. For many young people, it begins in the medicine cabinet.
What we see is almost every heroin addict that I've talked to, without fail, said I started on prescription pain meds. That's what I started on. Then I was addicted, had no choice but to continue, and that's how I got into heroin.
St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch has made addressing the heroin issue in his county a high priority.
Because the quality of heroin had increased so much in the last few years that it really was just killing people because they didn't know what they were getting.
Here's the facts. The St. Louis region has seen a significant rise in heroin use in recent years. Today, heroin is more potent, more addictive, and cheaper than ever before. And it doesn't have to be injected with a needle. It can be smoked, swallowed, or snorted. The number of deaths in Missouri due to heroin overdoses has increased dramatically. In 2007, there were 81. In 2011, that number grew to nearly 250.
It wasn't unusual for 30 years ago to see heroin at about a 10 to 15% purity level, and then it's cut with other things. Today, you don't know what you're getting. You can get something as high as 80 to 90% pure heroin. The problem is the 5 times you used it prior to that, it might have been 30% pure heroin. And now all of a sudden you get hit with a hot shot of 80% pure heroin. That's how the deaths are occurring today.
She was crazy. Kind of like her dad. She'd be missed by a whole bunch of people.
Good Good evening, I'm Jim Kircher. Understandably, there is reluctance, if not outright resistance, in families and in communities to admit there's a problem, a heroin problem at that. That needs to change. We're not here to preach tonight, but to deal with this issue openly and honestly. In addition to this studio and this broadcast, we're using social media tonight. Social community members are in the 9 Center for Public Engagement. They're generating conversation on Twitter. You can join them using the hashtag Heroin911. Also, we're streaming this program live on our website at 9net.org/health. Joining me to get this discussion going are Diana Harris. She's Area Substance Abuse Treatment Coordinator with the Missouri Department of Corrections, which deals with this problem a lot in cases of probation and parole. Mike Morrison is here. He's with Bridgeway Behavioral Health. It's one of the treatment centers that's been involved in this area's coordinated response to heroin. Also joining us, Tom Hurd, who lost his own son to heroin overdose and has shared his experiences with other parents at other town hall meetings. And in our audience tonight, really a lot of people who have their own insights into the issues of treatment, prevention, law enforcement, and education. We'll be hearing from them as well. But let's start with this question. Who's doing heroin? Mike, is there a user profile today? Can we talk race, gender, geography, age?
Not really, other than age. The typical clients we're seeing are getting younger and younger. And as was mentioned in the video, almost all of them have a previous history with prescription opioid drugs.
So that's the trend. Is the younger trend because of, number one, the availability of heroin, but also the popularity or availability of prescription drugs?
Both. It's also, I think, contributed to the fact that the age of onset of drug use in general has dropped dramatically over the last couple of decades, where it's not unusual for kids to start smoking weed at 10 years old now. It used to be, 16.
Tom, you've been sharing your story. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that. It can't have been easy and probably still isn't easy. I saw as we were watching that piece, that stuff's hard for you to watch. Your own son died from a heroin overdose. Briefly, what was the pattern there? What was the trajectory?
Well, to start with, it is very hard listening to the video. It's tough being here to talk about it, frankly. But in his case, he was away at college and ended up self-medicating his own anxiety, and he was using Xanax, and it became Oxycontin. So he started down this path, like many, through the use of prescription drugs.
Mike, there's a lot of pathways I'm getting, right? I mean, there's no single pathway here.
No, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why I think people end up using heroin. One of them, of course, is just that teenagers, their brains haven't fully developed. The frontal lobe hasn't developed yet, and that's where decisions are made. So they make bad decisions. They're not afraid to take risks. They drive cars fast. They drive cars fast with a bunch of booze in them. They, do all kinds of dangerous things. And we're kind of wired to think that it's not going to happen to us. That we're too smart for that. We're too strong for that, and we'll try it. And that is not going to happen in my life.
Yeah, Diana, we brought you on because you know a lot about treatment, but you're also with the Department of Corrections. Mm-hmm. We find we sort of uncover a lot of these addiction issues through the arrest records and the convictions of people.
Absolutely. When we look at the top 10 arrests in this country, number one is drug possessions, drug trafficking, drug usage. So for some of these people, the only means of treatment is through the Department of Corrections or through the criminal justice system, where unfortunately they're forced to get treatment. But for some of them, they would have never otherwise gotten treatment if they hadn't gotten arrested on a possession charge.
Yeah, we're going to talk about treatment and those issues. But I'm going to ask you this, and maybe Chief Fitch can come in on this as well. Are criminals using heroin, or is heroin creating criminals?
I think it goes both ways. We do have a lot of heroin addicts who themselves become criminals. When you look at somebody who you may not see as a typical heroin addict, you look at the signs. They may be, you may see money missing from your pocketbook at home, things come up missing. But over a period of time, when that money runs out, then you have someone who feels the need to be forced into the criminal lifestyle, stealing, forgery, fraud, anything to get money that they can go and get their fix with.
Chief, let me have your insight on this as well. Are we dealing, and there's a couple of things when we talk about drugs. There are people who are selling drugs. They're in the business of drugs. There are other people who are committing crimes because of drugs. Are we dealing with both of those things in this community?
Absolutely. We know about 80% of our shoplifting arrests are people that are addicted to some sort of illegal narcotic. And we also know that the vast majority of the cars, and that's a big issue in St. Louis, that are broken into, a lot of those are done by people that are trying to get things that they can turn around quickly for cash, and that's what they need to buy the drugs.
Yeah, so that's something we can watch for. We'll talk to you a little bit later about just what this drug is today compared to what it was, say, 20 or 30 years ago. I do want to put this out here for those folks who need to find out how they can get help for themselves or a friend or a family member. Here's a number, 1-800-811-4760. We'll be putting that on the screen tonight. Calls are being answered by Behavioral Health Response. We'll talk to them about treatment options later.